Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast. Peekaboo. I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available Christmas 2022, the album. Santa, sexy Santa, jingle, jingle, shimmy, shimmy, Dad F, rocking around the Christmas tree. Is that even how it goes? I don't think that's even the right song. I think I put different lyrics to a different song. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. That would be kind of actually a funny video. Like, it would get no views. But if you, like, changed, like, if you applied like the lyrics from one song and put them on another song, like, you know, Blue Christmas, but you put them on White Christmas, why am I the only one that thinks that's funny? I think that would be so funny, right? So if you were like, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I always kind of imagine myself on a stage, like, you know, like high school, like choir, like, you know, like Glee or something. And it's like me and like all of my background dancers. And of course we have the fans that we flip, you know, but my fans in my dreams, they have huge feathers on them, you know, and they're like, it's like a Vegas show kind of deal, right? You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, don't you think that would kind of be funny though, if there was like this Christmas spectacular variety show, but it was like, instead of like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, okay? If you took the words, the lyrics from one song, I'm sure it's been done sometime. I mean, everything's been done on YouTube at this point, right? If you took the words from one song and you applied them to another song. Anyway, stupid, I guess. How are you? I'll tell you what stupid is. Stupid is, I just filmed a 9-minute video over on my Peter Does Stuff channel called Making Coffee in the Hotel Room. And you know what is even stupider is? That I am so blessed that I have people that will watch it and be entertained by it. And that just makes me so happy. If you want, it's going to be up later. Well, when will I put it up? I think I'll put it up. Well, by the time this video is up, because this is my Saturday video. This is like my 4th video in a row that I'm filming. Y'all listen, okay? I've been sitting on this hotel room floor for a while now. And listen, Linda, I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit, okay? I think I need to go walk around a little bit or something. But anyway, I don't know if y'all know this, but I don't know how to cook. And so, like, I don't, like, try to fake it like Shane and Ryland and do, like, some sponsored HelloFresh ad or something like that and then act like I like to cook when I don't really like to cook. I don't like to cook, okay? So, anyway, but I don't know how to cook, really. I can follow directions, kind of, but if you watch this video, which is so funny, is that there are literally 4 directions on top of the coffee maker, and it's like, fill the dispenser with water, and then it's like, put the pod in the coffee maker, and it's like, I don't know how I messed up making coffee so bad, but cheers, I did. So go check out that video. It'll be up on my Peter Does Stuff channel. Hi, how are you? So, if you don't know, what you don't know is a lot. I am in Southern California. My husband is here for a conference, and so he was like, why don't you come along and hang out for the weekend? And I was like, sure. So we're just hanging out. Tomorrow we're going to have dinner with my brother-in-law and his fiance, which I'm really excited about because they live in Southern California. And so my husband's at the conference all day today, so I'm in the hotel room and I'm just making video after video. Listen, Linda. I've got so many people in my personal life saying that now, and I have to thank my cousin Caroline because she is the one that introduced me to that video of that kid who is so hilarious. She's like, listen, Linda. I love that so much. Whenever I'm feeling down, I turn that on and it cheers me right up. But anyway, I have so many ideas for drama videos. I started kind of making a list of videos that I wanted to make over the weekend. And I was like, okay, well, I knew I was going to do this unpopular opinions video because I thought if nothing happens or nothing pops off, at least while I'm in the hotel room, I'll have at least one video that I can make over the weekend. And so earlier in the week, I had posted on Instagram, like, what are unpopular opinions you'd like me to talk about? I'm going to make that video next, sitting right here, if my back doesn't kill me first from sitting on the floor for so damn long, okay? And then it might take a construction level grade, construction grade level crane to get me off. That's what I was trying to say, to get me off this floor by the time that I do. But anyway, okay? So anyway, I forget so often what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I started like putting down different things that I was gonna like write on this list that I was gonna make, like this unpopular opinions video, because I knew that I was gonna make that because I had posted it on my Instagram earlier in the week. See, that's where I was going. Okay. But then I started looking on the internet and I was like, oh, I didn't see that this had happened. Oh, I didn't see that that had happened. And then like this video merged with that video, And before you know it, you guys, I literally have like 7 or 8 drama ideas for videos, which really almost never happens to me. So I have videos for like every single day coming up for like the next 7 or 8 days that are going to be really fun videos for you. So actually, my video on Monday, which I know probably won't do very well, but it's a surprise video. It's a reveal video, and I am really, really excited about it. It's so corny. I know Def Noodle. So the noodle called me corny, and he was right. And I have to say, you know how we talk about catchphrases of like the year, like gaslighting. I thought gaslighting was the catchphrase term of 2021, but I guess that Gabby Hanna turned it into the catchphrase of 2022. But but you know, like when they talk about of the 2022, you know, like I have to say the biggest compliment I received in 2022 was the noodle calling me corny. It was, because, I mean, that's probably one of the best jokes he's ever said. Okay, but I am totally corny, and I own it all day long, and, I mean, I think anybody that watches my channel knows. I mean, like, listen, I'm a 50-year-old man that flips a fan on channel, okay, on my channel, and says, I'm back! Of course I'm back! I'm not going anywhere! I mean, do you think I'm not corny? Corny? Okay, I kind of know that, all right? But I will say, I'm from Indiana, and there is more than corn in Indiana. That's actually an advertisement on TV if you live in Indiana. What am I even talking about? It doesn't matter. So anyway, I was rolling through the Twitter and the Instagram, which is typically where I do my deep investigations as being a drama channel, commentary channel east of the Mississippi. Half the people have just... they've left the channel at this point. They're like, we can't stay around for the video. The other half are watching and are eating this up. And then there's like 10%, which that would make it 110%. There's like 10% that are going to timestamp this video, so get ready. 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, so I was on the Instagram, and I follow Logo TV on Instagram. If you don't know what Logo TV is a channel, a cable network channel that has like, is focused on LGBTQIA plus content, okay? And so they talk a lot on their Instagram and are posting pictures of, you know, like TV shows and movies and things like that that are driven towards that. So I saw that yesterday, and I had actually seen that they were talking about Laverne Cox, which was, I love Laverne Cox. I'm a huge Laverne Cox fan. I think that Laverne Cox has done so much for the trans community. Not only that, I feel like Laverne Cox has done so much for the LGBTQIA plus community, and I think that she's just such, I just love her as a role model, and I just love her as a person. I love her as an actress. I just think she's a phenomenal human being, and I love Laverne Cox. So, when I noticed that Laverne Cox was focused on this thing, I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. And the other person that was on here, hold on a second, I'm gonna get his name right, is Joel Kim Booster, who was, he's in the show Loot with Maya Rudolph on Apple TV, which is maybe one of the most hilarious TV shows I've seen in a long time. And here, I probably threw it up here somewhere, what they posted on, the Logo Instagram. He was also in a movie this summer that they put out called Fire Island, and it was about a bunch of gay guys that go to Fire Island in New York City. And my husband and I watched it, and it was fantastic. We loved it. It was really, really well done. And so people are just like, he is getting credited left and right for being kind of this up-and-coming star and all this kind of stuff. And so I wanted to see this, and so this article says, here it is, right here you can see. It says, these stars showed out at the 2022 People's Choice Awards. Can we just talk for a second, please? Did you all see Kathy Hilton at the People's Choice Awards? I got sent this by so many people, and my husband had already shown it to me. Kathy Hilton was on stage when somebody was accepting an award. I think she was the one that was like introducing it or whatever. And she was putting on lipstick, like out of her purse. Kathy Hilton, like, and I know that there's like a love-hate relationship the world has with Kathy Hilton. I just feel like Kathy Hilton is so out of touch with reality when it comes to the world. It's like Paris Hilton like 20 years ago, you know, in The Simple Life, saying that she didn't know what Walmart was. It's like that. Like, Kathy Hilton is like so out of touch with reality that you would think it's okay to stand on the stage of an award show And it's so disrespectful, I think, that while somebody else is getting an award, you're standing in the background, putting on your lipstick, knowing that every news media outlet is going to pick this up, and that's going to be the highlight the next day, not the person winning the award. So anyway, because everybody who sent it to me was like, did you see this about Kathy Hilton? It wasn't anything about the person winning the award. So anyway, so this little thing on the Instagram says, from jeweled tone suits to gothic-inspired frocks, our favorite LGBTQ stars turned the red carpet, all the People's Choice Awards, into their own dazzling runway. Swipe through to see some of the looks. Okay, so I'm going to put the looks up here for you, okay, until we get to one look. Just prepare yourself, okay? So the first look is Joel Kim Booster, okay? And like I said, he's the one that is in Loot. He's hilarious. He plays Maya Rudolph's like assistant. He's so good in it. And he was in Fire Island, which was really well done as well. And so there was that. Love him. Then Laverne Cox, looking absolutely gorgeous. There's actually like a TikTok or like a clip of her at the People's Choice Awards, and she's like just like walking straight through this crowd, and she just is like, I mean, she is elegant, she is grace, okay? She is Miss America. I love her so much. I do. I love Laverne Cox so much. Okay, so there's Laverne Cox, okay? And then the next one, and I just was like, oh, listen, Linda, okay, I can't anymore. I can't with this fool. Are we done? Like, seriously? You know, it's like, you guys were like, well, who is it? James Charles, okay? So James Charles is at the People's Choice Awards, right? Now, I thought, maybe it's just me, okay? Like, you know, he majorly F's up, and then he gets invited to the Met Gala. He keeps on getting invited to all this stuff, and it's kind of like mainstream media doesn't, like, keep up with the times, you know? And it's like, I think that James Charles, like, was nominated for a Streamy, like, after all this stuff. It's like, it's kind of weird to me that, like, after all of the allegations, and yes, I do know that it's been several years, okay? That being said, just in the, you know, the last couple years, James Charles took down his video coming back explaining everything. That video is nowhere to be found, okay? The video combating Tati Westbrook and challenging her, that video he kept up. His video coming, I think that's called No More Lies. The video coming back, talking about everything and being desperate, that video's not up anymore. He took that video down. I guess he's not desperate anymore, right? Then he came back and he never really explained what he had worked on or what he had done while he was gone, you know? And let this just be said, that it wasn't just like one allegation. It wasn't just like two. It was like multiple people that were coming forward, right? And, you know, one of the things that I said at the time was, you have to kind of be careful when multiple people are coming out, because if one person is lying about it, and then they, like, and James Charles did this, right? James Charles tried to take one or two people that were lying about allegations that he was hitting them up in their DMs, and he tried to make it like, okay, every person is lying about me, but that wasn't the case, and we know that, right? It was like a couple people were trying to be clout chasers, and they were coming up with these stories that James Charles was dipping into their DMs when there was no truth to it. But the reality was, okay, that story was based on some truth, because it had happened in the past, okay? There was evidence of that. There was factual evidence that James Charles had done that, right? You know, and so, and I could get into a long history of that and you know, whatever. But, so we do know that that's happened. Well, then James Charles comes out and he says he knows why he was doing that, and that was because he was desperate. It wasn't because there was anything wrong with it. It wasn't because of this. It wasn't because of that. It was because he was desperate, right? Okay, so then he, you know, had taken this long hiatus off of YouTube. He wasn't posting, and then he just came back, and it was like, oh, I went to Coachella camp with my friends, and I've just been hanging out. James Charles just yesterday had, what do you call it, a winter wonderland party with all of these people. And I want you to know, like, when I talk to influencers, or in the past when I've talked to influencers that are friends with these people, because one of the things that people will ask me is like, well, you are really, like, you know, positive towards Manny, but like Manny co-signs James Charles and he's like friends with James Charles and whatever. I've had that conversation with Manny. I asked Manny, I said, you know, like, I don't understand how you can support James Charles when James Charles continues to have all of these allegations towards him. And the response that I got from Manny is, that's not James. If you knew James in person, you would know that that's not how James is. Well, I did have a conversation with James years ago, and I said to James at the time, and I've said this in videos before, this isn't like this is something new, I said to James in the past, I said, you know, James, I said, and this was at the time that he was friendly with Jeffree Star, it was like right after that, I said, it almost seems to me that you're like wanting to do what Jeffree Star did. It's like that Jeffree Star set the precedence with like meeting Nathan through like Instagram or whatever, and that he met this straight guy that had never been with another man before, and that's what you want. James Charles' response to me, hand to God, okay, on my mother's grave, was, what he said was, that's exactly what I'm looking for, okay? So, you know, I mean, he wanted all of that. He wanted what Jeffree Star had set the precedence for. So is it surprising to me? I mean, it's never been surprising to me. I've always known that that's what James Charles was looking for, right? And that's, I don't know why that would change. I don't know why we should believe that would change, right? So then he comes back, and I do believe that James Charles is under the belief that if you give people long enough, they'll forget about what happens, right? So James Charles stays out of drama, he stays out of drama, he stays out of drama, he stays out of drama. But this year, he came out and he was talking about, I was just thinking, if I had a normal life, not one where I was making tens of millions of dollars a year, and I didn't live in this house and own my own house at 22, and on and on and on. Do you remember that one? And if I just lived a normal life, and all of these people came for him and were like, you know, like, well, if you had a normal life, you'd be looking for a job, and you'd be paying bills, and, you know, whatever. And he was like, I wonder who my friends would be that we'd be going to escape houses with, you know? And then he said something about, like, he feels like his soulmate is out there somewhere, and that he's looking for his soulmate, and he, like, made some joke about, like, submit your application. Then doubled down and came back in, like, an Instagram story, like, a couple hours later and said he was getting people contacting him in his DMs. He had said he learned that his Instagram was not a place to meet somebody, then came out and said that he thought he was going to meet his soulmate basically through Instagram, and then people were contacting him through Instagram. So basically what he said 2 to 3 years later is, I've learned absolutely nothing. Nothing has been learned, okay? And I think that this is what's going to haunt James Charles down the road. You know, James has hinted at the fact that he's coming out with this makeup line. Why? I don't know. This is the worst. Girl, don't nobody care about you no more, okay? You're on the downward slide. You know, like, you're not doing yourself any favors. And let me tell you where I really truly found this out, okay? So I go to the comment section of this post over here, right? And it has 708 likes on it, and it had something like 21 comments or 16 comments or something, okay? I'm going to read these comments to you guys straight down, okay? The people have spoken. This is Logo TV. This isn't even like beauty info or James Charles picture. This is Logo TV's Instagram account, okay? Straight down. Y'all lost me at James Charles. I'd leave James Charles off the feed. Yeah, that was a misstep introducing that kid. I'm not hating, but when I swiped to James Charles, I choked in my cough drop. Really? James? Really? James Charles next to real stars? Thank you. Next. Not James Charles. Why was James Charles the predator there? Glorifying that predator of James? Why was James Charles... I have not skipped one, you guys. Should he not be canceled? And then it goes on to this person talks, and somebody said thinking the same thing, but guess like, okay, James Charles jump scare. Thanks Logo for glorifying predators. That grown-ass man should not be, okay, given a platform. Why include the predator? Okay, and it goes on, I'm going to give, and then it's just unbelievable. And then the last two were like spam that they're going to give people money. Every comment on Logo's post, every single comment was about James Charles, okay? We're 3 years now out from James Charles doing this, and this is the problem, right? You know, people want to talk about cancel culture, which I'm not like a real big believer in cancel culture anyway. I think that you're going to like watch who you want to watch. I think, you know, you're going to end up buying what you're going to buy and things like that, right? Like, and so I think like, Did I say watch what you're going to buy? I think you're going to buy what you're going to buy. I think you're going to watch what you're going to watch. I think you're going to enjoy the people that you're going to enjoy. I think, like, I don't know. Like, you know, like, when people talk about, like, oh, everybody's trying to cancel it. I'm not trying to cancel anybody, right? But what's interesting to me is that it's been 3 years and people aren't forgetting. But the thing is that if people had held James more accountable in the past, if the people that loved James Charles, okay, if these friends of his that have stood there and said, oh, that's just James, or if you knew James in his real life, or that's not bad enough, but then you see an Instagram story where James is literally on the Instagram story and he's saying, I think maybe my soulmate might hit me up and basically what he's saying is, my soulmate might hit me up in DMs. Okay, that's pretty problematic. You might want to call up your friend and be like, James, given your history of how the internet has eaten you alive, even though I know you're not that person, this is problematic and you need to take this down, right? The fact that you've been through what you've been through, which is at this point countless allegations of people saying that you haven't changed and that you're continuing to reach out to people in their DMs, and you feel comfortable to put this content up there, is proof enough. And the fact that there are so many people that continue to talk about it, like, you know, I think about James Charles, and whenever I talk about him, I think about his career like 5 years down the road, right? Like, this is 3 years. James Charles is still, like, his YouTube videos, he gets 1 million views per video. But people aren't forgetting this, and James Charles never adequately came out, as far as I'm concerned, as a grown adult, never adequately came out and took responsibility for what had happened. He never explained it, he never took responsibility for it, and he never said what was going to happen going forward. What he said was, I was desperate. I was desperate to meet somebody, therefore I went into the DMs of Instagram and TikTok, and that's where I looked for them, okay? But he didn't really say what he was going to do going forward. So if that's the only problem is I'm really desperate to meet somebody because I want a boyfriend so bad and I don't feel like I can meet somebody in the real world. Therefore, I have to go to the DMs to meet that person. And so I get in a video and I just say, I was desperate, you guys. That was what my problem was. And then flash forward 3 years and you're just having this thought where you're thinking to yourself, if I didn't have the amazing life of James Charles, Freudian slip. If I didn't have the amazing life of James Charles that I've been so fantastically gifted by the people that have watched me, you know, that's part of what goes along with that, okay? Like, when you live that world, you're probably not going to just be able to normally date somebody off the street. You know what I mean? I understand that. That's given. Maybe date somebody in the influencer world. Maybe date somebody that doesn't want to be in the spotlight all the time. You know what I mean? And there are places to meet people, and there are places to go that you can meet people. But to continue to do this and say, my soulmate is in my DMs, I mean, like, girl, what that says is that you really haven't learned anything in 3 years. And so what that says is that history repeats itself. And somebody's going to come out and they're going to say, there's going to be another allegation down the road. And this is what I've said with all of these people, is that they do not learn from their mistakes. You know, they just want it to go away. And one of the other things that I always say is, and this is because I think that this is just a human thing. I don't think this is a YouTube thing. This is something I think we all have to learn in life, right? It's like, they always do what looks to the outside like I've changed, right? Like, if I do this video and I sit down and I say what people want me to say, or if I stay away long enough and I don't engage in drama, then it'll look like I've changed, right? But they don't ever really do the work. They don't go to therapy. They don't sit down in therapy, which I'm not saying therapy is for everybody. Go to church, meditate, I don't know, travel the world, get outside of yourself, do some service work to people, volunteer, whatever. I could come up with 100 different things that you could do to learn more about who you are as a person, right? Okay, so do all that, but do something to learn about why you were doing what you were doing, or who you are, or change on some level. Don't we want to change? I mean, I'm not a lover of change, but I do want to grow as a human being, because the more that I grow, the more I enjoy the world, right? So what happens is they always do these things. They get caught in it's scandal. I get caught in a scandal, and then I'm gonna do an apology. This is the analogy of the gray hoodie apology. I'm gonna do the apology that makes it look a certain way, right? So that the world thinks that I've changed, and then I'm gonna take some time off, and then I'm gonna come back, but no real change has occurred. So history will repeat itself. And so what we're going to see is James Charles right back to where he's at again. And what this is showing me with the logo thing is evidence that people are not forgetting and that people will not forget. And this is going to be so damaging because I do think that the 500,000 to 1 million people that are hanging on to James Charles' channel right now are the really younger people that have been there, and they were 12 when James Charles was getting popular, and they're what, 15 or 16 at this point? And so they still really enjoy James's content. But you know, like, in a couple years, I think when they're like, you know, phasing out of college or having kids or settling down, you know, getting their first apartments, I mean, I'm not really sure they're going to be interested in, you know, James Charles, you know, buying 20 outfits on Amazon and doing all of that. So, I mean, maybe they will, I don't know, but I think that it's going to continue to affect his career over time. And the biggest of it was that he never sat down and took accountability to begin with this, you know? And that's where it kills me. Like, I remember talking to James back in the day, and I said to James, I said, like, well, what does your PR person say? I don't even remember what we were talking about at the time, but it wasn't this kind of drama. It wasn't this deep. And I said, what does your PR person think about all this? And he goes, I don't have a PR person. He goes, none of us do. He goes, we just do this all on our own. He goes, I've always just done this on my own. And I was like, okay. I mean, you're making $10 to $20 million a year, and you cannot hire a PR person for $50,000 or $60,000 to put out a statement or tell you what you should say when they actually went to college and they learned this as a trade. Like, I mean, that's what they do for a living, is how to tell you to put things out there. You know, I mean, like, PR 101 is, don't ever put out something that is going to be able to be clipped and memorized and shown to the world, right? Like, for example, saying in a video, I was desperate. Nobody remembers what else James Charles said from that video, I can tell you that, but they can remember that James Charles said that he was desperate, you know? And obviously, he still is. Anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.